Salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to today's bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's bonus upload, shall we? Lear directed my attention to a large map of Nevada, which delineates all the areas which civilian maps coyly leave as uncharted military reserves. Right in the very center is a place called Area 51. It is the most secure and secret complex. There are 1,900 people there. It takes presidential clearance to work there, and they are ferried in the morning and taken out at around 5 p.m. in the evening. They have nothing to do with the saucers. The people who work on the saucers go up later in the afternoon and go home at around midnight. The saucer facility is called S4. S4 is in the southwest corner of Area 51. Unfortunately, this facility and a similar setup near Dulce, New Mexico, may now belong to forces not loyal to the United States government or even the human race. It's horrifying for us to think that all the scientists we think are working for us are actually controlled by the alien. A deal was made with them in the latter part of the 60s, probably a revisioning of the 54 Treaty, which was in turn an outgrowth of the secret Bavarian Illuminati Treaty with the Greys in 33. In exchange for technology, we would cover up the existence of these creatures. Apparently, this agreement engineered by an arm of government so covert that even the president may not be on the need-to-know list. Also sanctioned the abduction of humans, which the aliens rationalized as an ongoing monitoring of the developing civilization. We asked only for a list of the abductees. In 73, the deal soured and hundreds and thousands were being abducted that were not on this list. In 78 and 79, there was an altercation between us and the aliens in which they killed 44 of our top scientists and a number of Delta Force who were trying to free them. According to Bob Lazar, an underground facility below Groom Lake was the site of an intense firefight between the Gray and U.S. military personnel after a human security officer had challenged an alien dictate not to enter a certain alien-controlled area with a loaded weapon and was subsequently killed as a result of his challenge. This war, actually a massacre, according to Majestic 12 Special Studies Group, Agent Michael Wolf, since the first outbreak of violence in 75 resulted in a demonstration of an antimatter reactor within the underground chamber. The Greys operating the demonstration ordered the human security officers to remove the bullets from their weapons. One security officer questioned this order, and just for having the audacity to make that question, one of the Greys apparently let their true colors show. That is, it prematurely exposed the fact that they were not really the allies of the American government, but actually an occupational invasion force that had to maintain absolute discipline among its conquered subjects. This creature or thing, meaning alien, from out of this world decided that it would make an example out of those who questioned its orders, and its comrades followed suit. The Greys commenced to slaughter several dozen security personnel and scientists, although one alien Grey died in the initial altercation. Thomas Costello, I've said that name a million times, sorry. Thomas Costello states that another battle occurred below Dulce 4 years later, in 79, after several scientists who had discovered the horrible truth of thousands of alien human abductees in cold storage or imprisoned in cage-like enclosures in the deeper alien sectors under Dulce known as Nightmare Hall, were themselves captured by the aliens following this discovery. These were some of the best minds in America. As we will see, Dulce wars were somewhat more complex than this explanation might suggest. This battle, Lear claims, left us bereft to our own facilities and some of our best scientists. Ever since, we have attempted to create a counter force to meet the alien challenge. A strategic defense initiative was one such scheme. SDI, regardless of what you hear, was completed years ago. That was to shoot down incoming saucers. The mistake was that we thought they were coming inbound. In fact, they were already here. They were in underground bases all over the planet. It seems that the aliens had constructed many such bases without our knowledge, where they conducted heinous genetic experiments on animals, humans, and improvised creatures of their own devising. Improvised creatures? Crawlers. I do not believe Dogman or Bigfoot was a creation of these alien creatures, but I truly, truly believe crawlers. And I honestly am starting to think that these portals that are opening up are part of that may have something to do with these aliens. And I don't think that they came down in front of, we turn a blind eye and they came through the night. They were here thousands of years before we were probably even, capable of throwing a stick. Just my opinion. In the battle, even in the conflict, as unusual as Dulce wars, there were bound to be prisoners of wars or POWs. And his leading edge report researcher, Val Valerian, revealed the following. This is nuts. Dulce lab technician held in early November 1988, we received word that a scientist, son of B.M., is now being held in an underground facility at Fort Wayne, Colorado. The underground base is located in southwestern Colorado, near the Ute Mountains. The son apparently worked at a genetic lab under Archuleta Mesa near Dulce, and finally grew disgusted with what he observed. Subsequent probes into the retention of this person had yielded several interesting project names. His father, B.M., apparently encountered two Nordic-appearing men in Pomona, California, October 22nd, 1988. Now, note the Ute Mountain Native Reservation border, which superimposes the southern border of Colorado, lies only a relatively few miles north of Archuleta. It extends from that point westward along the border to the Four Corners. Just across the border in Utah, another branch facility apparently exists, according to Lear, where another Dulce scientist is reportedly being held. Lear spoke with the father of this young scientist, referring to this father only as Mr. K, and attempted to locate the exact position of the base. Quick, real quick, guys. You're thinking what I'm thinking? I hope you are. I really do. The Ute Mountains. Skinwalker Ranch, my friends. Could there be an deep underground military base under Skinwalker Ranch? And could that explain all of the high strangeness that goes on there? Maybe. Or maybe it's in the relative proximity of the ranch. But that would only explain the paranormal, cryptid, alien, portal. You can keep going on and on. But that huge cryptid wolf that ripped that baby cow out of the fencing, that tried to attack the humans, that has been talked about for however many times. And I'm sure the majority of these stories are not real, but we all know that there was a giant wolf there. Very similar experience happened in Texas to a subscriber who had videoed a UFO, tried to contact MUFON. Next thing you know, there's a huge wolf standing in his driveway, 3 to 4 feet at shoulder, and what appeared to be able to stand bipedal, staring at this man. They are using these creatures as deterrents. I really think possibly there is a deep underground military base under Skinwalker Ranch. And if that is true, that would explain all of the high strangeness there. Sorry, went off on a tangent. Lear states, the son whose father I met and who passed away several years ago is apparently being held in a base near or around Sleeping Ute Mountain. Sleeping Ute Mountain is in the extreme southwest part of Utah near the Four Corner area on the Ute Reservation south of Utah, Highway 666, which also runs through Colorado and down through New Mexico. I do not remember how I came by this information, but it had to do with some research I was conducting in the search for Project Blue Light base near Dolores, which I never found. In regards to Utah, there have been rumors of New World Order bases being constructed below southwestern Utah with containment facilities where dissidents were intended to be apprehended underground when the New World takes control of the United States. There are reportedly numerous such underground containment facilities throughout North America. I guess I might not be wrong. I'd like to be, because that's scary. The United States military is not the only force that has become involved with the war against the Greys. One of the major underground human forces who are very upset at the Greys over the violation of the territorial agreements and abuses and atrocities that have been committed against various intraplanetary human colonies include certain segments of the Talosian Aghardi Alliance, as well as some of their Syrian allies who are against the Greys. The following information was sent to Utah researcher by Juliet Sweet, a personal friend of Sharula Dux, who is reportedly the Arganian princess, Aghardian princess, from Telos, a city complex below Mount Shasta. I've talked about her previously. She was mentioned in an early lecture by Phil Schneider. The central metroplex of Telos is said to consist of a multi-level complex over 5 miles deep and at least 20 miles in circumference, which extends outward to subterranean colony system beyond. According to Sharula, Telos is subterranean connections via tube shuttles to at least 100 other subterranean cities below North America, as well as cities below South America, such as the allied city of Pasig below the Mato Grosso region in Brazil. Many of these cities are maintained by the ancient native North, South, and Central Americans. Two things. I said last night in the first upload of the day when I was talking about Elon Musk, and quite possibly he may be the Antichrist. And a few people didn't understand what I meant. Like, when I say GOAT, people refer to him as the GOAT. Like, he's the GOAT, greatest of all time, because he's so smart. He's doing this, he's doing that. And I made the statement that, when did we start referring to people as GOATs? The Neuralink, right? Now, here's something I forgot to mention in that. We all know that these tube systems from Dulce to New Mexico, what is that one? Talos? The one where that vibrating sound, all around our country and world, there's these tube shuttles. Musk has the Boring Company. Not boring, I'm bored, but boring, hey, let's dig some holes. There's just another kind of, maybe when it comes to Elon, I don't trust the man. I think that he's got bad intent. I really do. He's a goat in sheep's clothing. And when I mean goat, I don't mean greatest of all time. I mean the devil, Baphomet, whatever you want to call him. He's an asshole. I hope I'm wrong about that as well. But something's off about the man. Something's off. The following letter, dated February 7th, 93. Last month, I had your disc transcribed and read your materials in their entirety. Very interesting and full of well-cited facts. I appreciate your sense of groundedness when presenting your ideas. I am not familiar with the Saurian race, nor have I heard mention of them from Sharula or Adma. The Greys do come up from time to time, and what has been communicated by the Talosian hierarchy is that they are indeed being asked forcibly, if necessary, to leave. So that they are according to the people in the know, these Talosians are like our allies, the enemy of the Greys, and supposedly have been for thousands and thousands of years. In Sumerian text and Anunnaki and such, these are the people that we're talking about, dog-headed alien race that were violent. The ousting process has been active for the last year or so, and ADMA has indicated that Los Alamos will be one of the last areas to clear out. There has been some Star Wars type of conflicts as of late, but the Talasinian masters tell us not to worry about that they have things well in hand. Sharilla's age is 267 years, although for surface ID purpose, she says she was born in 51. It helps with Social Security and passport purposes are concerned. You might want to update your materials to reflect her actual age. Note, during a lecture, Sharilla was asked what the Talasinians were doing about the problem with the Greys. Sharilla stated that the Talasinian Agharti Silver Fleets have confronted the Greys and told them to cease their abusive activities on our planet, to which the Greys responded that they have the right to continue their activities since the United States government has authorized their activities on Earth and in America. Well, maybe there was these treaties, but treaties don't stay valid forever. Shit changes. Maybe the Greys need to get over it. Are the Greys referring to the Nazi-backed CIA and NSA secret government, which has infiltrated America through murder, manipulation, and established an alien interaction project without congressional consent, which, as we all know, is treason? It's as if these green-blooded, pencil-necked, melon-headed, blood-sucking parasites who break treaties, violate human will, permanently abduct, and even kill humans for scientific or sustenance purpose, lie and deceive, disregard non-interventional ethics, destroy animals and property, manipulate the thoughts of the masses and their leaders against the consensus, knowledge, ruin human lives on mental, emotional, physical levels, and literally feed off of human life, including that of our children, have any place to give such excuses? Just some little bit of scary info right there. This next bit of information is from a super soldier. Interview with Andy Pirro, survivor of a secret mind control project aimed at creating super soldiers with psionic abilities. Andrew Pirro was unwillingly subjected to mind control program offshoot, the Monarch Project, a trauma-based mind control program similar to what Kathy O'Brien describes in her autobiography by Mark Phillips. Transformation of America. If you're ever interested in that book, it's a pretty great book as well. Trance, like you're in a trance. Transformation of America, by Mark Phillips. And it's about Kathy O'Brien. I honestly recommend it, just like Them and Us and Bill Cooper's book. Andy Pirro claims to have been created through a combination of genetic manipulation, trauma-based mind control, and Silva mind control training, resulting in superhuman feats and psionic abilities. In addition to this, Mr. Pirro alleges to have been unwittingly used in covert assassinations as a Manchurian candidate and also in missions connected to the Montauk Project, such as time travel. Now, I don't know if you've heard the upload that I talked about the young boy who was strapped in a chair. I shared it a couple weeks ago. He's trapped in a chair. He's a young, maybe teenage boy, and forced to create a psionic creature, a monster, at will. And he did. And some bad stuff ended up happening. This is what Piro was involved in. And in upstate New York, in Saranac Lake, there was an underground military base discovered by a hiker back in the 90s that was designated for MK Ultra, Monarch, for children, creating super soldiers. Andrew Piro first went public with his experience in August of 98. Special guest of Preston Nichols while at a lecture series hosted by Bob Ure of Philadelphia. I was so astounded by Andy's testimony that I had to interview him personally so that his story could be shared with the readers. For those who are unfamiliar, I've worked 10 years investigating and counseling UFO experiencers, abductees, and occasionally survivors of various forms of trauma, anomalous trauma, such as ritual abuse and mind control. Because of my background in alien abduction, paranormal, the occult, and anomalous trauma, I recognized Andy as an extraordinary survivor of trauma-based mind control, one whose story should not remain hidden. And this is a interview out of the magazine called Unknown Magazine. I don't know if it's still in publication. Maybe it is. Andy Piro. EL is the questioner. AP is Andy Piro. EL, Andy, where are you from originally, and when did your training begin? I was born in Fallon, Nevada in November of '69. My father was a lieutenant commander at the Fallon Naval Air Station in Nevada at the time. I believe my first experiences began by the time I was 2.5 years old. At 5 years old, my family lived in Munich, Germany, and I remember attending 2 distinct kindergarten classes. One in German that was located on or near McGraw Army Base, and another in English. I have flashback memories of torture sessions at an early age, 2, where I was subjected to shock treatments with needles inserted into my ears and other areas. What they, controllers and handlers, do is use extreme trauma to separate the mind from the body. They do this to split the mind into several parts that can later be programmed to do things like superhuman feats. Basically, they disconnect all of the normal human brain impulses, emotions, and whatever is normally present, then reprogram in new ones. They do this to remove all fear, so that when they program the new abilities, you will not have instinctual, but I am afraid response. They program you to not think. In essence, they treat and program your mind as if it is a computer. EL. Who were these people running these secret programs like Monarch and the Montauk? And where do they conduct their activities? Our own government. One of my handlers who tried to brainwash me into believing that he was my father was basically a Nazi. I nicknamed him Adolf because he was very Aryan looking. After World War II, many of the Nazi scientists were brought over to the United States through our own intelligence community, who formerly worked in mind control research and concentration camps. I believe they are the remnant of the Nazi Party working in conjunction with different branches of the United States government and military. Much of my training and torture sessions were done right at the University of Rochester, New York. They used to take me to a private room in the attic or top floor of the library. The big lab where I had most of the programming done to me was at the Rome National Air Base in Rome, New York. I have also been used in the Montauk chair while at Camp Hero, Montauk, and also in a chair in Atlanta at Dobbins Air Force Base. The Montauk facility, located in Camp Hero, was reopened by the Department of the Navy and is still active to this day. Basically, there are underground bases located across the country. Each one has a different function and specialty. There's a facility in Rochester, New York, Paramus, New Jersey, D.U.M.B.S Air Force Base located in Atlanta, Camp Hero in Montauk, Long Island, and many others. In the Paramus, New Jersey facility is where they do the programming for many of the female agents. For the most part, 99% of them are involuntary agents or couriers who are raised in various mind control projects. EL. What were some of the things the mind control programmers made you do? No, some of the things that I might not be able to say due to clauses on YouTube, I will just kind of stop and you fill in the blank. I remember my mother enrolling me in the Silva Mind Control course when I was 10. It is a type of self-hypnosis where you learn to go to different levels of your mind to do self-healing, relaxation, visualization, bending spoons with the power of your mind, things like that. This is also the time when I saw two peculiar military men who would periodically visit me throughout my childhood, especially at sporting events. I did exceptionally well at the Silva Mind Control and sports, so much so that the two military men approached me and said, "I hear you have some very special abilities. Someday you will work for us." At the time I did not understand, but later the two men figured prominently in all the training I had up all the way through my college years. Of course, I didn't realize this until my memories came back. I did very well at sports and demonstrated a genius IQ, but I stuttered so badly until I was in my 20s that everyone just thought I was a dumb jock. The stuttering was due to the electric shock treatments. I recall being subjected to electric shock numerous times, being placed in an enclosed water tank, told to breathe underwater. Consequently, I drowned several times and would revive because of my self-created healing pool in my mind. I learned to create my own mental laboratory through Silva Mind Control. Repeat with a super powerful healing pool that could heal any injury. I was forced to endure suffering beyond belief to accomplish superhuman feats of strength and survival. Tell us more about the various superhuman abilities you had discovered you had. The trainer would put me into a trance whereby I be told I could jump off a ladder of minimal height. In my mind, I believed that I was only jumping off a footstool onto a short ledge. In actuality, I was progressively led to jump higher and higher, to the point of successfully jumping off of buildings and even out of planes without a parachute. When under mind control, I could do whatever I was instructed to do, as long as I believed them. I would do 200 or more push-ups in perfect form, sometimes as long as a half hour straight, or until I was told to stop. I weightlifted 545 pounds on a barbell and squats while attending college, and much more while I was under mind control in a training laboratory not far from Rochester. In my jumps, it was as if I was falling like a cat, calm and cool with no fear, focusing like a laser only on the landing. EL. Are there others like yourself who had similar training and experiences? I think there are thousands of other children and people who were used, and many end up missing. Many die in the process. They are considered expendable. The ones who can survive the most rigorous programming live on to become what are known as the Montauk Boys. Duncan Cameron is one such person. In general, the boys and young men are trained to be couriers, assassins, super soldiers, psychic killers. The women are mostly used as blank agents. Kathy O'Brien's story, for example. EL. What kinds of special missions or time travel experiments do you remember taking part in? There were times I remember being in a small Rochester airport, being picked up in an F-16 fighter plane and ending up in some southwestern desert terrain, either for special military training and obstacle courses or assassination missions. I remember seeing other men in black t-shirts and pants on the same training course at one time. Other times I found myself on an aircraft carrier out at sea. After the mission, they would take me back and I would return to college a couple of days or even hours not remembering what happened. All of these missions were done between the time I was 15 years old until 88 through 92 under deep hypnotic programming with the memories erased until some of my memories started to return. I was also taught to handle various types of weapons, loading, cleaning, special characteristics of each model, and firing at exact targets repeatedly and perfectly without thinking, just doing. EL. Tell me more about your involvement in the Montauk project. I think this is it. I do. I think this one's it. No, it was Duncan Cameron. That's right. I was involved in an offshoot of the Montauk project called the Montauk Chair. Basically, the Montauk Chair was developed to give the human and spirit a zero point of reference to facilitate time travel. What the chair essentially does is separate the mind from the body. The chair operator's thoughts and vibrational energy is picked up by umbrella-looking antennas above the chair, sent to a computer over to a processor, then amplified several hundred times. The information is then sent to a network of free energy crystals arranged in a circle. Then whatever thoughts are amplified, i.e. a time period, a wormhole would open in the room. The wormhole was as large as 16 to 18 feet across and even large enough for a truck to go through. In Cape Hero, Montauk, the location is the crosshairs of the Earth's biorhythms and is the point on Earth where time travel is most easily accomplished when Earth is a point of origin. My part of the Montauk Chair project was to use my focused visualization skills to think of specific time points in history that were assigned to me. The chair was connected to a sophisticated computer system and thought amplifier, such that when a thought or time period is visualized, the computer simulates the time portal based on that point in time. A series of time portals are done until a library of time periods and portals have been accumulated. The chair is also used to amplify extremely focused thoughts to create three-dimensional materialization based on operator thoughts. Preston Nichols wrote several books on the Montauk Project and describes an incident when Duncan Cameron created a monster while in the Montauk Chair. I'll have to find that whole experiment that Duncan Cameron took part in and share that, because the monster he created was so terrible that whole, I believe they almost shut down, or possibly they did shut down the Montauk Chair because of it. Not probably. Maybe they did for a day or two, but it was bad. And right here, they're talking about portals. So you cannot tell me that this technology that we had obtained wasn't obtained from the alien forces that were under or in these deep underground military bases. There's the connection. Portals, deep underground military bases, alien life form, U.S. government, and such. One such travel mission was called Project Southern Cross. It was used to win World War II in favor of the Allies. What the U.S. government did using time travel was to go back in time to the 40s to help us win the war. We would deliver communication devices, weapons, and technologies made out of 1940 parts. These would be delivered to the 1940s along with a complete set of drawings on how to make them out of 1940 parts. I took part in several of these deliveries. One time I was sent to Germany and another time sent to England. I was not allowed to speak to anyone other than deliver my parcel and quickly return back to our own time. And this was all done under deep hypnotic programming, so I didn't have a lot of freedom to explore. I was gone no longer than a couple of hours for the deliveries. So, just wondering, okay, so if they did do this, which I wouldn't doubt, I mean, the Philadelphia experiments and such, but if they did go back and help allies win the war, those controls or those devices that were purposely destroyed, like after each bombing session, and I only know this because of watching Masters of the Air, and it is nonfiction, a nonfiction TV show based on accounts from these B-17 pilots who were dropping bombs throughout the war. But they had this device that sat in the plane that directed their bombs. And then after each mission, while they were above the ocean, they would destroy them and throw them out. Or let's say the B-52 crashed, they would destroy the device. No matter what, no matter if it took time and you didn't have time to jump out of that plane, you were to destroy that device. I wonder if that... Have you ever encountered any extraterrestrial or seen any aliens in any of your underground base memories? From what I understand, the Department of Navy made an agreement with the alien Greys to exchange technologies for human women and children to conduct horrifying breeding experiments. This is what's going on right now in an underground military base not far from Miami. One of my most disturbing memories is being escorted down a hallway in this underground lab and seeing cages of chicken wire fence with women and children screaming for help. I've seen alien Greys, the 4-foot ones with large black eyes, and also the 7-foot-tall reptilians in some of my experiences. I've been told that I have many children from alien breeding experiments. I've had abductions with Greys as well. On one occasion, I was introduced to a reptilian being while in an underground base sometime in the early 90s. At first, I saw a 7-foot-tall human Aryan-looking man. He walked toward me, and I noticed that his image phases out as if something interfered with the energy field. He does something to a device on his belt and tells me, "Okay, I'll show you." He then pushes some button, and then I see his image change into a 7-foot-tall lizard-like creature that looked like it weighed over 400 pounds. I was introduced to a group of beings that claimed to be a subgroup of the Illuminati. They were made up of a group of 40 to 50 men, all 6'2" and taller, white, and of all indeterminate older age averaging 70. But I suspect much older considering the technology they have access to. They covened in a boardroom that I believe was in the underground base, perhaps Camp Hero, Montauk. They sat around a large football-shaped table made of wood. Each high-backed chair had a light at the tip, and each sitting had a TV-type screen and control panel that came out from the table. There was a huge screen located in the front of the room as well. I have reason to believe that not all of the Illuminati are human, but actually are alien beings that appear to look human. L. Who or what groups do you think are running the show here in the United States or even on Earth? How do the aliens fit into this? That's very complicated. But basically, there are 4 main versions of groups of the New World Order, all with slightly varying agendas. The first group comprises of the United States and Western Europe, England, Germany, France, and the U.S. The second is Eastern Europe, fused with the Western Europe and the United States. Third group is countries of the Orient, and the fourth is Middle Eastern, Saudi Arabian elements, and all of their oil money. There are also off-world groups, aliens, and future human Nazi types called Zardanians, reptilians, Greys, Dracos, who also have a hand in the NWO plans. For the time being, old money groups of Europe and England have teamed up with the die-hard factions of Nazis, Jewish, and Americans, forming the group that have always been known as the Illuminati and affiliated secret societies. This large international group controls the media, police force, and military, etc. The Illuminati is also part of the NWO plan. Well, we all knew that, which includes members such as Bush, Prince Charles, and other high-ranking people. As for aliens, I think most are Greys, either under the authority or collaboration with the reptilians, Dracos, and the Illuminati, based on some of my experiences and memories that are still returning to me. Some Grey groups are in conflict with the reptilian and Draco agenda and are doing their own thing. Human Grey hybridization programs, so to speak. Their agenda gets into very heavily spiritual matters having to do with acquiring an emotional body and an ability to ascend to a higher dimension. They are using humans to accomplish this via human/alien hybrid. Humans have the key in terms of having a threshold or threefold essence or unity of being, physical, emotional, and spiritual. Other aliens have lost this unity of being because of a fall from grace. That's weird. Thus inhibiting them from ascending to higher dimensions or evolving to higher levels. This gets back to the original Luciferian rebellion, fallen angels, and various conflicts between species. Now, there is a book that I read that has something to do with a little bit of that. It's called The Urentia. And once again, I think that knowledge is key. And I cannot recommend reading any book. I can recommend reading any book, but The Urentia is a book that I bought. Ironically enough, I bought The Urentia the same day I bought Behold the Pale Horse when I was 21 years old, 20 years old. Very interesting stuff in there. They talk about Jesus being the true bringer of peace and love and light and joy. But they also talk about alien existence and such. If you get a chance, grab it. It's a good read. It's got a lot of information in it. EL, when did you start remembering your memories? How did or can you break the programming they installed? Some of my first memories surfaced while living with a roommate in Atlanta back in '96. We went to a bowling alley and I saw a large sign in the shape of a man dressed like a rhino advertising. Bowl with rhino balls. This triggered me into remembering that Rhino is the name for my handler. Is the name my handler called me, excuse me. My roommate overheard me say that out loud. I'm Rhino. They call me Rhino. He got excited and immediately asked, "Where did you hear that?" He gave me a grave look of concern on his face and kept questioning me. By his reaction, I realized later that all along he was one of my hired programmers and handlers. The initial triggered memory that surfaced was a flashback of me being electrocuted and shocked and screaming in pain in one of my numerous torture sessions. After that first memory, other memories started to leak. It was like my mind was dammed up and the subconscious memories were starting to leak through. My mind controller programmers deliberately built a wall around my memories so that I would not remember. When I started recalling bits and pieces, I'd write notes to myself and hide them. Then I'd find my notes after I had forgotten everything because of my roommate was catching on that I was remembering, so he would repeatedly put me in trances, erase my memories, and I'd forget what I had just remembered. But then everything came crashing down because I deliberately hid notes and pretended that I didn't know my roommate. I had thought he was a friend, and it turned out he was just a hired controller and handler to keep me in the program. I recall that in the past, I did not even remember my dreams for 10 years, but now things are coming back. I'm working on purifying the body to help clear my mind and get my abilities back. EL, how do they keep control over these people who have been and are still in the mind programming and the mind control projects? The essence of their control tactics is splitting the mind at a young age. This entails a process of trauma, torture, degradation, and humiliation. The process is different for each individual, but in essence, they go into your subconscious and find out what most personal parts of you are. Then they essentially use this against you to break you down and rip your mind apart. This happens. What happens is this: an individual who possesses special mental abilities is selected at a very young age. Very often, they are from military families or from multi-generational satanic ritual abuse families. I was going to say that when he talked about his dad being in the military. Because it's easy for them to get control over someone they already control. They already control that lieutenant or this, whoever. So we control you. Give us your child and let us turn him into a super soldier. They control your mind through various complicated hypnosis techniques and commands until they create the perfect Manchurian candidate. They program you to do something, then erase your memory. Basically, they program your mind as if you're a computer. Once they install the magic word, all they have to do is say it and you're back under control. This happens from an early age, so it's easier to control them if they are conditioned and dissociated into several personalities. Another method for this control is that they send in special people in our lives, handlers and controllers who pose as friends, teachers, deprogrammers, roommates, lovers, etc., who are all actually operatives for the mind control project. Some are sleeper operatives who don't even know they are being used to a certain extent. It makes it hard to trust anyone at this point. EL. Is there anything else that you can say about these projects or advice for others who have gone through similar experiences, like how they can be set free from its influence? For those who want to get out of the influence of the program of mind control, you must have a strong fighting instinct to do what is right regardless of what others are doing. Your only cage is the one you build yourself. You must connect with your highest self and break the evil that is all around us, and not succumb to doing evil just because everyone else is doing it. Retain your fundamental sense of right and wrong. It all goes back to the basic conflict of good and evil. It's like the dark forces in power of this planet at the time are trying to cheat their way into heaven or higher dimensions. And there you have it, folks. I do hope you all enjoyed today's bonus upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is, after all, your support that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and honestly what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please, everyone, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.